Hello, beautiful people, and good afternoon, and welcome to your Queen's Juneteenth celebration, second annual Juneteenth celebration. Can we get a hand clap for that? A second year in a row that we are celebrating this monument. So, just to open up, because it's on my heart today, I just want to be able to just um, talk about the significance of Juneteenth to me, and I just want to start with a two-liner from Maya Angelou, from her poem of "Still I Rise," because of the significance of these two lines and what it means to me and how it commemorates Juneteenth for me. So in this, it says, "You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like the air, I rise." I'm going to let you sit with that for a second because today, on June 19th, 1865, African Americans were given their freedom in Galveston, Texas. And that alone is why myself, people in the Your Queen's organization, and why we continue to make efforts to educate, to continue to grow, and continue to make monuments and movements with this organization to allow for our people to be able to have and to hold and to be able to make efforts for not only myself, but the young kings and queens after us. To open up the show, I want to bring on my dear sister, Sheridan, who is going to sing for you our Black National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear sister Sheridan. Thank you. Lift every voice and sing, everyone. That is a significant song. That is singing. Singing during the time of slavery was to bring hope, was to bring faith, was to bring a new leaf of understanding so that we can get up every day. As of now, when today, I hope in your everyday life, before you get up and you go start your day, you open up whatever Bible that you, whatever religion you are, but whatever Bible you do or you read, you open up and you just give thanks to whatever power being that you profess to. But that was what the slavery time, what we did, we sung. We sung songs to bring us hope that one day we would be able to have freedom, to be able to witness what today myself, my child, and my hair, your Queen's family are witnessing. The ability to have freedom of choice, the ability to vote, the ability to have an opportunity to go to school, the ability to come on here and have the ability to make my own earnings, to make my own destiny, to push forward. So I sit here today and I thank every single one of my ancestors for allowing me the opportunities to be able to sit here today. And I don't take for granted those opportunities, because if it wasn't for a Martin Luther King Jr., a Sojourner Truth, a Marcus Garvey, I would not be able to sit here today and be who I am. So please remember, my Black and brown brothers and sisters, that if you are having a challenging day, remember where you come from. I would love to bring on my panel who are going to help me on tonight on today's journey of Juneteenth celebration. And that is my dear, dear, dear sister from another mister, my Cancerian sister, Akiwa Asamota, co-founder of Your Queens Incorporated, and our vice president, um, Rashina, who aka Queen Amina. And I'm gonna bring the floor to them.
That was a beautiful introduction. And Sheridan, thank you for your amazing voice. Hey, y'all!
Sorry, you know
Celebrating.
I get carried away when it get passionate like
I
this.
felt you. And don't apologize. It's all good. Let's get into it. Thank you all for joining us. Behind the Crown, I want to tell you a bit about Behind the Crown. Shout out to our producer, Logic. We started this Behind the Crown segment 3 years ago during the pandemic. It was a way for us to just connect with our family and friends virtually. And here we are, virtually giving you Juneteenth from the comfort of your home, wherever you are. Behind the Crown is a live show, and we focus on topics such as love, peace, joy, faith, finance. And and today we're going to explore the significance of Juneteenth in our natural history and culture. So you're going to see this through interactive discussions and engaging activities, and we'll celebrate the contributions of African American, honoring our legacy of those who fought for freedom and equality. And we're going to reflect on the continued struggle of racial justice in America. So join us as we come together. Send this out to your family and friends to share it out in unity and solidarity to commemorate Juneteenth and uplift and empower each other for a more just and equitable society for all. I'm going to pass it on to Rashina.
Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you so much, our royal audience, for being here. Thank you so much, Sheridan, for blessing us with your beautiful voice. Thank you, Angie, Queen Angie, the hostess with the mostest, and my lovely, lovely dear sister Eki. I love you so much, and I'm happy that we are here doing this for not only us but for you, your family members, co-workers, anyone that you touch. Um, so I would like to just inform you of what is Juneteenth. A lot of times, I'm a teacher, so a lot of times we have these conversations with the youth who is going to be in charge of our future, and a lot of times they have no idea what Juneteenth is. They may have a superficial idea of what it is or something they saw on social media, but I realized we can't attack the youth for not knowing if we ourselves don't know. So we can take a simple dictionary definition, and we're going to begin with a very straightforward definition. And as we go out this program, over the next few hours, we want to dive deep into what these words actually mean, because anyone could read a definition and regurgitate that. This is what it means. Okay, you define the word, but you define the holiday, but what does it really mean to us? So I'm going to begin with what is Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a holiday that commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. Specifically, it marks the day when enslaved people in Texas were informed of their freedom on June 19th, 1865. This was 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued by former President Abraham Lincoln. On that day, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and read General Order Number 3. This declared that all slaves were free. Juneteenth is also known as Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, and Jubilee Day, and it is celebrated annually in the United States on June 19th as a day of reflection, education, and celebration of African American culture and achievements. African American culture and achievements. As an African American, we have culture. We have culture. We have culture. So thank you for listening to me, and I will send it off to our next speaker.
Thank you both. Continue to tune in. I love you both. See you guys very shortly because we still have another segment. So I'm gonna pass it on to our next segment because Rashida, you just literally gave us a definition of Juneteenth and what it means, and now we're going to go into our first segment, which we will have incorporating our children. So a children's perspective on Juneteenth. So I know I have Zaire, Stanley, and Ashton and Ashley. So I'm looking for hi Ashley, hi Ashton, hey Stan.
Hey.
Oh, wait, where's Zaire? I know Zaire was here. What's going on? How are you guys? How's everybody?
We're good. I'm doing good.
We're good? Oh, Zaire, you came on with your mom?
Yes. I'm here.
Listen, you know us mom gotta hold it down.
I can leave the room. Let him
No. You know we gotta have that mom energy in here, so I want you to stay. So guys, as we're celebrating Juneteenth, I just want to have just a little conversation with you guys about what Juneteenth means to you guys. What you think about Juneteenth. So I'm just gonna ask you one or two questions. So first question I'm gonna ask you are who are some famous African American leaders or activists that you admire and why? And it doesn't have to be all of you guys, but just one or two can answer. Who wants to go first?
Me?
Stan?
Yeah, I want to go.
Okay, go.
So, like, Harriet Tubman is like, Harriet Tubman is one of the African people that I like. Well, and that's because she freed slaves from. She freed slaves by using the underground train tunnel, underground railroad. I mean, and yeah, but that was
that's pretty cool. That's very cool. She freed slaves because she went and she used the tunnel. So I mean, that's a good thing to do. You know, we use the tunnels to get where we need to get. So using that was a good one. Anybody else want to tell me why they
I'll answer the question.
Zaire?
Yeah, okay. So I choose Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X because they were both prominent civil rights. Prominent civil rights activists. Even though that they thought differently, they still had the same goal.
They had the same goal, and what was that goal?
That goal was okay. I gotta find a way to explain. It's kind of difficult for me to explain.
Listen, you in a free space. Yes. That goal was to what?
So, the goal was to have Black people, African American people, to have what they wanted to do and be able to complete their dream.
Amen. Thank you, guys. Second question. We ready? Second question?
Yes.
All right. What do you think life was like for African Americans after they were freed from slavery? So, for instance, right? You know when you guys are in punishment, right?
Yeah.
And the first time you get out, in the first minute you get out of punishment, what's the first thing you do? So that's the type. Think of it like that. So they were in captivity for all these years. What is the first thing you think they did when they were able to be free?
Can I go?
Yeah, go Ashley.
All right. So after slavery, it was still hard for Black people because a lot of laws were created that made it hard for them to get jobs in education and healthcare. And there was also a lot of violent acts. And even with the obstacles, leaders like Rosa Parks fought hard to promote peace and equality and justice, and then to make life better for everyone. In order to make life better for everyone.
Yep. There was something called the 3/5 compromise. which what that was it meant that even though the slaves were free, that means that they were only 3/5 of a person. So that means that they had no voting rights, even though we were free, they had no power to do anything. They had no powers of say so. They had no ownership ability. So you are extremely right with what you just said. Zaire Stanley, you want to chime in on this question? Go, Stan.
Uh, so basically, what I think, like, even after slavery, just like what they said up there, um, it was still hard for them since some people are still racist and they won't let them do some other things that white people could do. Like, they still, even though slavery was done, they still wouldn't let black people drink the same water as white people. They won't let black people eat at the same restaurants as white people. And they they were losing rights, and they were, even though, like, they had some rights, they still had some privileges that they lost out on, since they still couldn't vote, one, and number two, they couldn't do what other people should be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point, and I think I have a follow-up question to what you just said, because you said a word that triggered me for a second. So you said the word racist, right?
Yeah,
First, I'm gonna ask you guys: do you know what the word racism, what it means, and the stigmatism behind the word racism?
yeah.
That we all know what that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think it still exists in today's society? Do
Yes,
you think that you're
Yeah.
free?
very much. Yeah, very much so.
It does, Stanley. Tell me how.
Well, people, even though you I know how I said, like, black people can't eat at the same restaurants as white people. That's
Mm-hmm.
already gotten removed now, because of some of the acts black people did to like stop all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we could eat at the same restaurants as white people, and it's not wrong. But there's still very much so racism, because some whites are good on one hand. They respect black people, they could be friends with black people, and they're really kind, right? But then we have, on the other side, right, there's the other white people that are supremacists and still think, oh, we reign over black people and we reigned over everything, so they can't do whatever they want, even though it's already been done. So like some of those white people are still killing black people right now, and some people at schools, right? There could be white people at schools. They could probably bully black people and call them monkeys or stuff like that.
Wow, Stanley, you just let the people know. You just let the people know that although we are celebrating today at Juneteenth, that we still have a lot of work to do. That's what you just told everybody. That yes, today we are commemorating the significance of slavery ending, but we still not at a point where we are still free. There's still a lot of work to be done to make sure that people of color have freedom of speech, freedom of equality, freedom of ability to maneuver, freedom of ability to do things, and so on and so forth. Ashley, anything you want to add? Zaire?
I didn't think of.
No, I think Stanley said it all. Ashton?
I think he said it all.
Oh, he said it all. Stanley, I think you left everybody on mute. I think everybody you dropped mic on everybody now. I think it's I, I think I don't think anybody else has anything to say.
I know too much in this world.
I mean that was a lot. So I mean, young kings and queens, I want to thank you guys for your perspective on Juneteenth. The audience members definitely heard your voices. Stanley, thank you so much for being so vocal about your thoughts, your feelings. Zaire, Ashley, Aston, thank you so much. Graduating Princess and Prince, thank you so much. Congratulations to you, Ashley and Aston, on your graduation. I don't know when your ceremonies are, but giving you congratulations today. And thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Toodles.
Now we're moving into our next segment. Ooh. Hi. Well, I have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker for today. He is a hip hop cultural historian, creator of Cross in a Minute, and Wild TL, Cross Platinum producer, writer, TV personality, and founder of Cross Academy of Performing Arts. Mr. T.O. Cross. My
Thank
brother,
you.
the floor is
Thank
yours.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can y'all hear me? We can. You can hear me. Okay. Okay. So let me just hop in. First and foremost, it was really, really great to see some of these great young mentees. Man, yeah, I miss you guys. It's been a little minute. I love you, love you, love you guys. You all are so smart, so intelligent, so brilliant. You inspire me. You certainly inspire me. And I want to thank, Eki and your queens for just really, giving us the opportunity to connect, in the way that we did. I'm better for it, as well. All right. So I'm just going to hop into it. I am, as they call the keynote speaker. Let me get that straightened out. And I'm just going to talk a little bit, about Juneteenth, and I'm going to talk about, why should we celebrate Juneteenth? Why should we revere it? Why is it something that needs to be on our radar and on center stage, the way it is, right now? And thank you all again for doing this, because it not only means a lot to me, but it means a lot to the community here and abroad. So let me just kind of get into it. First and foremost, Juneteenth is important because history is important. Okay. Uh, Oftentimes we look at history and we look at it as something that is dead, something that happened a long time ago, something that is just obsolete. All right. But what I want to talk about a little bit today is how history serves us today, and how we benefit from knowing history, and how we benefit from historical people and events as we sit right here and right now. Okay. Uh, so why is history important? History is important simply because it's the truth. All right. No matter what it is in life that we come across, that we do, that we see, that we experience, truth has always got to be at the main focus. Truth has to be at the crux. It has to be at the center of everything that we do. We should not ignore history, because history is truth, and we should not change history because history represents truth. And whenever we change history, it is equivalent to telling an outright lie. Whenever we, I guess, whenever we abstain from telling a part of the story, or we omit, omitting parts of the story. It's like if you ask me, if somebody texts me and said, "Cross, what are you doing right now?" and I said, "I'm sitting in a room," that would not be true, but I'm omitting that I'm here with you and I'm talking about this. So basically, I was not truthful based on omission. So when you omit very important things in history, it is equivalent to telling an outright lie. So we can't let that happen, and we can't do that. So we must participate. History is just as much a part of the living present as it is the past. As you see behind me, you have many, many historical figures, some of whom are alive right now. I see Eric B. and Rakim there. I see Tribe Called Quest. Most of his members are still here. A Different World. There's my mom there. All right. But I realized at some point in my life that history is just not the past. It is literally the present. It is what we stand on and what we walk with right now. It's the shoulders that we stand on as we sit here and as we speak. Let me give you an example. This computer that I'm using in order to talk to you all, it was made in the past. I mean, the past is literally 5 minutes ago. You know what I mean? That's already in the history books. The past is a week ago. The past is a month ago. The past is 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. All of that is the past. If a person in the past did not make this computer, I would not be sitting here talking to you. If somebody in the past did not make these glasses that I'm wearing, I could not see you. If somebody in the past did not create this phone that I have here, I jotted some notes down. I haven't been really looking at them, but I jotted some notes down. When was the alphabet created? Does the alphabet become outdated? You know what I mean? Man, that's an old thing. Let's not use those words. Let's not use those letters. That's old. We don't do that. We utilize the alphabet, something created many, 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 many years ago in history, and it benefits us now. It allows us to communicate. It allows us to talk. It allows us to sing. It allows us to record history. It allows us to tell the person that we love that I love them. It allows us to help raise our children. There's married people. You use words to propose to a person. You use words to eulogize a person. You know what I mean? So ultimately, everything in the past that has happened informs the present. That is first and foremost. Okay, this is all connected to why something like Juneteenth is important, because so many people write off the past and they look at it and say that's history, that's old. And I just want to let you know that this house that I'm in was built a long time ago, but it allows me to come home, have somewhere to rest my head, have somewhere to sleep. Just throw away the recipes, that were made and created 100 years ago that we still enjoy today, and it feeds us and our entire family. All right. Okay. Because we're part of there's a generation today, and I won't say generation, there's an era today where people kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater a lot. Like they may disagree with a particular generation, or they may disagree with a particular thing, and they just throw the whole thing out with the bathwater. This we cannot do as Black people. We cannot do that. We have to look at all of the errors, all of the great errors, all of the great past. Nobody's flawless. Everyone's flawed, including us as we sit here right now. Okay. But got to keep the truth in history alive. Absolutely. But you look at all of these particular things and people make harp on, man, they should have did this instead of this, or this person should have did this instead of that. But let's talk about that for a second. Our ancestors who lived in the past, who are part of history, got together and they built things. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to the fact that our ancestors built things that we benefit from today. Juneteenth, before there was a Juneteenth, before the actual event happened, we had what we call the Civil War, of course. The Civil War is something that is oftentimes badly and untruthfully, presented. It is presented as though Black people were sitting around waiting in order to be free, to be freed. And then people fought, and they came back and informed us, you're free now. And we were so happy. This could not be further from the truth. The truth is this. You had your Union, you had your Confederacy, you had your slave-holding South, and you had your industry-based North. And don't get it twisted. The North were also slaveholders for many, 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 many years. All right. I won't get into why the Civil War happened, because that's oftentimes misrepresented as well. It was not a moral war. It was not a war based on morality or anything like that. It was based on money and power and politics. But for a long time, the Union, meaning the North, were losing. they were losing, historically. All right. At some point, our brother, the great ancestor, Frederick Douglass, who I should have up here. I have a number of Frederick Douglass books and speeches. Frederick Douglass was someone who was one of the people they were pushing in order to get Black soldiers to be able to fight, because Black soldiers were ruled out. They weren't allowed to fight early on. And what Frederick Douglass was able to convince Lincoln and anyone who will hear of was, if you allow Black soldiers to fight, they're going to fight for the Union. 99.99999% of them will fight for the Union. So although the Union is losing right now, you're losing because you're not allowing all of the soldiers who want this slavery thing to be abolished to fight. Ultimately, it got so bad until Black soldiers were able to fight. 18 to 80, any Black male who did try to get out there and fight through the Black churches, and through the early Black organizations. They were bringing people into the fold. This is one of the things that is misrepresented, because W.E.B. Du Bois, in his book about Reconstruction of America, Black Reconstruction of America, he has a chapter called The Propaganda of History. All right. And in that Propaganda of History chapter, he gives you historical facts in numbers. In the numbers that he gives you proves that by the time the Civil War ended, by percentage, there were more Black men fighting in the Civil War than white. This is because anybody who was Black, all right, they fought. All right. We fought for our freedom and won. That is the narrative. The narrative has been, they were freed, but Black people fought for their history and they won. You kick into play why we celebrate Juneteenth. Full disclosure, I just came from a rehearsal, conducting a rehearsal. So I wasn't able to hear, the first, 15 minutes of, our program. So I'm not sure what was, what you guys went into or what you'll go to after this. So I won't spoil you that. But what I will say is, once Juneteenth became a thing, once there was a need for a further freeing of people, and this is why, of course, we celebrate Juneteenth, I want you all to remember that those ancestors, those great ancestors, went on to build. They went on to build. They went on to build hospitals. They went on to build schools. They went on to build HBCUs that stand today. They went on to do their organizations that still stand today. But think about it. Think about one HBCU. Think about just one college erected by a group of people. I mean, that is awesome, because in my lifetime, that's not necessarily a thing. It's not fairly often that I do see a group of us get together and erect in a university. That is amazing. There's over 100 of them. You know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about, there was Reconstruction and then there was deconstruction, kind of taking away the privileges of Black people, voting, so on and so forth. All right. Now, to just kind of cut across the field, we oftentimes look at things and we look at it as progress. But just as though there is something called progress, there is also something to regress. All right. So we oftentimes think that just because a thing has progressed, we have now moved forward and something has happened, that we look at it as we've progressed, and that it necessarily stays the same and continues to be built on top of. That is not necessarily true. We can take certain strides, but oftentimes history shows us that there can be a regression. And the regression happens because people who are against the advancement of Black people will get together. This is historically, will get together and try to put a stop to it. All right. And then if you're not careful, there can be a regression. We're seeing it today. All right. So once we were free, as they say, what you have is you had the Reconstruction era where it was kind of like a kind of opening society up to newly freed Black people. Once it got to a certain point, about 15 to 20 years later, there was a pushback. And once that pushback happened, Jim Crow started losing the right to vote. There were over 2,000 Black elected officials in America before the fall of Reconstruction. Okay, so when we cheer today when we get somebody Black elected into an office. There was a time prior to the 1900s where there were over 2,000 elected Black officials. Many do not know that. I won't say most. Many do not know that. All right. And then you cut to the 1880s and the 1890s, there were virtually none. Virtually none. All right, there was the creation of the Ku Klux Klan. There was the governmental, coming from a governmental standpoint, there was Jim Crow laws. All right. Later there was redlining. Later there was this, there was that. We had a Black president, President Barack Obama, directly following President Obama. People kind of looked at it as to progress. But directly after President Obama, there became a regression as many people not only got into presidential office, but got into various offices and tried to erase any advancement that had been made. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because we have to look at our present and we have to look at our future. Look at anything that we may have progressed at and understand it can also regress because of pushback, because we can lose it. So we must be active in those brothers and sisters, those ancestors during the Juneteenth era, during 1865, 1866, in the Reconstruction era. They built, they inspired, they fought against the odds. They made so many things happen. In that generation right there are the generation of people that we celebrate when we look at Juneteenth. Okay, last but not least, as I'm running out of time, our ancestors from that period, from that Juneteenth era, created a blueprint. There were some things we can extract from it, some things that don't carry over because of time, but many of the main things still goes, and it still makes a lot of sense. Know your history. Know your history, because your history is just like your IQ. It's added into your IQ. All right. Now, here's the thing. The more words you know, the bigger of a vocabulary you have. The bigger of a vocabulary you have, the better you can express yourself. The more possibilities you have to express yourself, the more avenues you have in order to get a thought across, in your point across. Now, history is no different. History is something that the more you know your history, the more you know, as you move forward into the future, the more possibilities you have, the higher your historical IQ becomes, and it broadens your possibilities. Those people, our ancestors, were bold, they were brave, and they were innovative. Let us continue to be bold, let us continue to be brave, and let us continue to innovate. May God bless you. And I'm done. I don't know what happens after this, but thank you.
TL, thank you. I'm going to roll it over to my friend Osa, who's going to come in with some highlights from the keynote speaker. You're on mute.
Thank you so much, Angie. And thank you so much, TL Cross, for the keynote and for letting us know the importance of Juneteenth and why we should celebrate Juneteenth. I mean, you dropped so many gems. The one thing that I lean on is you mentioning that we must not omit things in history. It is so important. You touched on us progressing and also regression. And because regression still continues to happen, that is why it's important for us to continue to celebrate Juneteenth, continue to talk about the things that our ancestors went through, and continue to realize that there's so much work that needs to be done. So we thank you again. TL Cross for that. Make sure you all follow TL at TL Cross. He has a wealth of information that he shares daily and a wealth of history with all of the contributions that African Americans have done for this country. So before
And
we,
not only on African Americans, just hip hop in general. He's a wealth of
yes,
knowledge on the hip hop culture,
absolutely.
and you know, we celebrated 50 years of hip hop culture this year. So please,
There's a lot of history there. Yeah, and even within hip hop, it's tied into the everyday things that we deal with as a people. It's infused in the music and it's infused in the experience. So, I mean, we couldn't have picked a better person, right?
absolutely not.
So,
So
thank
thank
you
you,
so
Theo.
good, good, good. So, we are going to go into a raffle, right? Should I start first?
I think you should, Osa. I
All
think you should.
right. So I think this raffle is a really really special one because it gives us the ability to see how well you know our queens. So our first question, and I believe we have a hashtag. The hashtag is Your Queen's Freedom, and maybe someone can put it in the chat. Your Queen's Freedom. So our first question is, who was the first person to tell me where Queen Amina is from?
Use the hashtag Your Queen's Freedom, and we will pick a winner. And you can email us and we'll email you from our Your Queens email at gmail.com. But just we will pick someone from who see on the chat that's using the Your Queens Freedom hashtag. Again, hashtag Your Queens Freedom.
Yes. And if you want to put the answer in the chat, you're welcome to do so. A fun fact, I believe that there's a movie on Netflix, right?
It is.
About Queen Amina as
And
well.
Queen and Cleopatra, I believe.
And Cleopatra as well, too. So
I mean, I think just after hearing TL just now, I just want to tell the people, like, after if you didn't get any gems from that, I think the only thing I'm leaving with that conversation is that cooperative economics equals unity. So as Black and brown people, if you want wealth, that means you need to stick together with our Black and brown people to make sure that we all have wealth, and building together is how we gain wealth. So not working with others, but keeping wealth within our communities. And I feel like the best example for this, and I don't want to, I don't know if I want to say this, but I'm going to say it, is if you see that a lot of our other nationalities, and the races of Indians or our Asian cultures, they all build together, they own together, and then they make sure they share amongst each other. So we can take those examples to make sure that we do the same thing moving forward, so that we can build those wealth and we can have that pocket as well within our community, so that we can make our ancestors proud.
all right.
All right,
So
we're moving
we're
on to
pressed
the
for
next.
time. I did see one hashtag come in. But what I'll do is I'll just give the answer anyway, and whoever did the hashtag first, you'll win the prize anyway. So the first I will give you, I'll let you know. This giveaway, you get 80% off your first booking with Your Queens. And the answer to the question, where was Queen Amina from? Amina was from Zaria, Nigeria. Amina, also named Aminata, was a Hausa historical figure in the city-state of Zazu, which is now Zaria in Kaduna State in the northwest region of Nigeria. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Osa. Appreciate you. See you very soon.
I'll see you soon.
Wow, guys, that was a lot. So now we have a next segment. We're going to move on to our next segment, and I'm going to bring on some more of our team members from Your Queens Incorporated, as well as some of our board members. So I have our Vice President, Rashina, coming back on, Aisha, who plays Queen Makita of Sheba. We have Osa, who is our Vice President on our board. We have Mickey, and we have our producer for iRant, as well as our producer for Behind the Crown, Logic, coming on to help us with our conversation in regards to Juneteenth. Hi, everybody.
Peace.
Oh, what's going on? Listen now, I need the vibe. I said hi, right? We talk about Juneteenth here. Y'all giving me really low vibes, especially after we just had TL just give us all of that gem of knowledge.
You're old.
We're here. We're here.
Hello, beautiful
Thank
people.
you. That's what I'm talking about. I was waiting for that.
Happy early Freedom Day.
Let's go on.
Yeah.
So
Yes, happy Juneteenth.
I have a couple of questions I just want to just pick your brains about in regards to Juneteenth and what it means to you, and just discussing how the organization and how your personal feelings are in it. So the first question I'm going to throw out to you guys is, how has Juneteenth evolved over time, and what role has it played in the right for racial justice in America? So I believe Osa and Aisha, I believe one of the two of you have that question.
Aisha, I'll let you go first, and then I'll go after.
Okay. So can you repeat the question one more time?
Question is, how has Juneteenth evolved over time? First part. And what role has it played in the right for racial justice in America?
Yes.
Second part.
Thank you. So I think that Juneteenth for a long time really wasn't celebrated the way and acknowledged and like known as a holiday, period, for a very long time. I think it was very like, well, Texas for sure was celebrated because that's their, their holiday. That's where it came from. But then folks who are from the South, and then folks who probably like migrated from the South, and like moved to other places around the country, started to have their own kind of Juneteenth celebrations. And so I think that really for like large, like for a wider American audience, like no one, I feel like we didn't know collectively about Juneteenth until like, for some of us, like 3 years ago, like very, very like recent. And I think the woman who started Juneteenth, I feel like her name is Opal. Right? I want to go look up her name real quick to tell you all. The one who advocated for Juneteenth to be a federal holiday. Texas elder. She's 95 years old. I know this. My partner lives in is from Texas and is actually going to be participating in one of the freedom walks on Monday. And so I think that what's important for us to know is like how it's a long tradition, but I think we all have had a new awareness of that, which is a beautiful thing. Like I never fault Black people for learning things whenever, like we are on a journey collectively, and when we get to learn things, it's a beautiful thing. I think how it's evolved really was all of the racial unrest during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, right, we always had fights with the government, fights with the police state, for our rights. Like this is an ongoing thing we've always done as Black people. Before slavery started, like during, like we always were fighting. So this is like, I think TL said this, like there's a misnomer that we were like always just like, well, I guess they'll give it to us one day. No, we've always been consistent, fighting on the continent, in the seas, on this island of the North America. We've always been fighting. And so I think what has changed dramatically during this pandemic time is people had time to like give their energy to these movements in ways that they never had before. People were largely unemployed. People had remote positions. Companies were taking a stand. People in companies were demanding that their companies take stands. And so there was like a big eye on everyone to be like, if you are not for the fight, then you're against the fight. And I feel like that put a lot of pressure on not everyone. I think it put pressure on a whole lot of different people to pay attention to what's happening. What Black people in this country have been asking for essentially hundreds of years, right? Like we just want to be free. We just want to live our lives without fear of violence, without fear of discrimination, without fear of retaliation, right? Like that's what Reconstruction was about. It wasn't about Black people. It wasn't about we had to get Black people together, but really like we had to get white people comfortable with the fact that Black people were like no longer enslaved, no longer their property. And that was really hard for white people to deal with. And that's how we have the formation of the Ku Klux Klan. They didn't exist prior to slavery. It's a direct result of Black people shining, doing their thing, being our beautiful selves in freedom. And that was that response. So let me bring it back because I'm getting a little off track. But what I'm trying to say
is telling the truth.
Yes. What I'm trying to say is that the reason why we have Juneteenth and why it's known so widely is because Black people during the pandemic had a captive audience that we haven't had since probably the Civil Rights era. Like, people were watching. Paris was watching. Palestine was watching. All parts of Europe, everyone was saying Black Lives Matter. They're saying Black Lives Matter in Palestine. They're saying Black Lives Matter in Mexico. They're saying Black Lives Matter in South Africa. You know what I mean? Like, everywhere it was looking at us. And so the US had no choice but to be like, we got to do something, right? Whether or not they actually want to, whether we can say the US has a conscience, a question that we continually debate. But what we know is we got everyone looking at us. And so we had to move. And I think that it gave, thank you, Eki, for posting. It's Opal Lee was the woman who fought to get Juneteenth recognized as a federal holiday. But I think that the reason why we know about that is because of all the events that happened in 2020 and thereafter. We're seeing a huge cultural shift, at least surface level. Whether or not we feel that's deeply ingrained, it's a conversation we can continue throughout this. But at least on surface level, at least on a very visible front, we're having companies, school districts, all the institutions that are part of the US having to come to terms with the fact that the world is watching America and the world is watching what we do to Black people here. And we cannot deny that anymore. And so I think Juneteenth became kind of like the wave of like, we are going, this is a place, this is a thing that represents freedom. And what I hope as we continue to acknowledge Juneteenth, what doesn't happen is what we've done to things like Pride, where it's been very commercialized, or, you know, these other holidays that we have that become really commodified. And I really hope that conversations like this really help us get back to the roots. And at the end of the day, this is about liberation. This is about liberation in various forms. And I hope that we continue to remember that fight. We don't let it die. We nurture that spirit. We continue to light that fire that's within us. And remember that this work is continuous and it doesn't end with us. We have the next generation. And I'm so blessed to have heard our young people earlier today talk about that racism is not over. Yes. We got to help you with that. And then when we're no longer here, y'all are going to continue that torch. So that's all I'll say for that for now. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks. Osa, follow up on that?
Woo, that was powerful.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, I know. Yes, definitely. So Juneteenth has evolved over time to become an important symbol of so many things that people in this country have endured historically and still today. And many of our speakers spoke about several of those things, from racial injustice to the fight for civil rights, to us still fighting for cops to stop killing our people, right? For equal work pay, for effective mental and physical health care in the Black and Brown communities, the right to have adequate schools, the right to have healthy meals in supermarkets. There are continuous things that we are always fighting for. And one thing that comes to mind when I think about Juneteenth and the reason why we've seen it evolve over the years, I mean, of course, one, we have to thank Opal Lee and all of those that have been fighting for this to be recognized as a federal holiday. It became a federal holiday on June 17, 2021, which was a year after so many injustices were happening, including the George Floyd situation, where so many other people in the world started to see what people of color were dealing with in this country. The one word that comes to mind for me is the word pride. And as a people, when you start to have pride, you start to want to know, what did my people endure? What did they go through to get to where I am today? And what can I do now to honor them? So I say that to say this is why Juneteenth has evolved, because as Black people, because we've seen that so many things that happened years ago are still happening now, instills pride in us to fight for our rights, to fight for justice, to fight for fairness. So it's a wonderful thing for your queens to have a platform like this. I'm sure we've seen through social media and in the news of so many different Juneteenth events that are happening. And that is happening because there's awareness and there's pride amongst us. So I'll pass it on to another speaker. But, you know, to me, that is why I believe Juneteenth has evolved over time to become an important symbol for us.
And just also just want to make a statement there when you talked about Juneteenth being a federal a federal holiday, I want to really make a statement on that, because it's a federal holiday for people who work for city and state employers. The private sector still does not recognize the Juneteenth as a holiday in many of those businesses, and there are people who still will be working on Monday. Especially people of color who will be working on Monday. And the response to that is that you can take a floating holiday, or you can take a personal day off. So we still have work to do because of the fact that we are still making strides in those areas. So I just want to make sure we highlight that, because although the US is saying it's a federal holiday, they are not mandating it to private and public sector. They are only mandating it on the public sector mandates. Next question. What role do art and culture play in the celebration of Juneteenth? And how can we support and uplift African American artists and creators? Ra, I think you took that question.
Yes. Um, Art and culture plays a huge role. And for me, the main role would be spreading the word. A lot of things are captured in videos, especially in recent years of the uprising of social media. um, these art forms are ways to catch the eye of someone who's a passerby, the youth. It's a way to promote, it's a way to spread the word. So with Juneteenth being a fairly new holiday for some, and like Aisha said, some didn't even know about Juneteenth so maybe 3 years ago. Art plays the form of spreading that word. And okay, I saw this post about Juneteenth. What does it mean? Let me go look it up. Let me find out more about it. And when it comes to our culture, it's our shared experience as a people, as a Black people. Obviously, there isn't one type of way to be a Black person, but when we focus on our culture here in America, we have to focus on our fight through, our push through, and our accomplishments, our achievements, our prominent figures. So art plays that important role of not allowing it to fade away, not allowing the message to be changed. When something is placed into art form, for example, I'm wearing a Nefertiti necklace. That is a face, a figure, a profile that is known beyond just this one person wearing this necklace. So it's a way for us to put our stamp into it. It's a way for us to share our voice, to share our culture, share our culture amongst ourselves that may not know, and to others. Um, and the second part, how can we support and uplift African American artists and creators? Simply by utilizing these forms, utilizing it instead of having a background song from your favorite artist who may or may not be of color. How about we use a Black person song? Instead of, like, for me, I'm a teacher. When I create my PowerPoints, I replace all the photos with photos of Black people. If I have to Google, I'm teaching about migration and they're showing me images of people who don't look like my students, I'm going to change those photos. And those are stock photos that come from creators of black and brown creators, Black and brown um, artists. Even with music, even with poetry. How about we use quotes from Black and brown poets, Black and brown lyricists? Just being making it common knowledge and not something you have to go fight to find. Making it common knowledge. So if I'm walking by a group of children talking in a park, I'm overhearing them saying things about Marcus Garvey. I'm overhearing them saying things about Katherine Johnson. I'm overhearing them saying these names. Like, oh, wow. So it's not just something that you pass on to your immediate friends and your immediate family. It's something that is becoming common knowledge. It's something that every day as a 4-year-old, I'm walking by and I'm seeing images of people who look like me. We see with the Little Mermaid how that impact has um, just brightened up their eyes. You see these reaction videos all the time on social media, and it literally brings tears to my eyes to see how happy they are to see themselves in the Little Mermaid. So just utilizing them, reaching out to them, partnerships with them. We have this platform with Your Queens. We partnered up with, King Logic. There's plenty of other non-Black and brown people that do exactly what he does, but let's give this creator a platform. Let's help each other out. He helps us, we help him, you know? So just making sure that we continue to keep it in the family, keep it in the family, keep pushing out these images, keep pushing out these lyrics, these poems. If you have a child that's interested in something, let's Google someone who's Black and brown to say, oh, look, they did this 50 years ago. You should study them. You should look at what they did, instead of the typical, like, well, I want to be a TikTok creator, and they're Googling the little girl from the Dunkin' Donuts drink. I don't know. That's a pet peeve of mine, so I bring her up all the time. How about we send them in a direction down Black creators, right? So let's look up this hashtag. They have all these Black creators. How about you see their path? But I'll cut it there.
Thanks, Ra. I really appreciate you and your narrative, and how that's going to flow on to our next question. And our final question for this segment is, how can we ensure that these stories and these experiences of African Americans are included in national narrative and history, not just during Juneteenth, but throughout the year? So I know, Mickey, you had some expertise on how we can do that.
Yes, and thank you so much. I'm going to definitely keep it simple, but I wrote my thoughts down. I would consider definitely keeping the past present for the future. So what I mean is to recognize the past and incorporate it into the present so that the future generations can acknowledge and recognize the significance of those general entities that sometimes we take for luxuries. So to keep it brief and simple, talking about our past, our ancestors, descendants on a daily basis so that we know that we as a general population know we stand on the shoulder of giants, so that when we, the current generation, we're no longer here, our kids can know the advancements of the Earth Kits of the world, the Tyler Perrys, Malcolm X, and etc., so that they can leave their legacy too. That's my spiel. I'll send it over to Logic.
And I want to piggyback off her sentiment and say that, as a filmmaker and a youth advocate, I definitely want to say, put it in education first and foremost. There's a lot of educators in this audience and on this panel. So whether it's in your curriculum or not, put it in that curriculum. There's a whole lot of fight about, critical race theory and things like that, and certain books being banned in certain states. Whether they ban it in your state or not, talk about it. Put it in your curriculum. Let the youth know, whether it's in school or out of school, who our ancestors and current greats are. And then as far as entertainment, put it in the music, put it in the films, support programs like your Queens Behind the Crown. If you know an independent filmmaker in your network and they trying to put out a story that tells our story, support that, because the mainstream corporate America is just not going to do it. So your donation to somebody's independent film will go a long way, and I know that from firsthand. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you all. I really appreciate all of the perspectives.
Can I say one thing as the
Absolutely.
producer? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go.
We only have 5 entries, and I'm sure like 3 of those is us. Please put hashtag your Queen's Freedom. One word, one term all together. Hashtag your Queen's Freedom in the chat so you can be added to the raffle, and the system will pick a winner for us, and it will be non-biased. Please put that in the chat.
Thank you, Logic. I really appreciate you. Thank you all for coming and bringing your perspective. I heard a lot of different messages, a lot of different thoughts, but at the end of the day, all of what you guys said all rolled into one, and that means that we need to band together and we need to make sure that the message is heard and the message is given, whether it's from an educator's perspective, a teacher's perspective, a moderator's perspective, a producer's perspective. The message here is that we all need to use our voice and our platforms to be able to create a narrative that speaks volume to the next generation so that they can take that and continue the message of on our road to produce freedom for our culture and our Black and brown people. So thank you all. We're going to move on to our next segment. Thank you, guys. Next segment. Oh, this is my next segment. My next segment is going to be really good because I love my next segment, because this segment is really going to be dear to me. It's going to be the parent segment. It's the parent perspective on Juneteenth. Ooh, this is gonna be a good one because as a mom, this one means a lot to me. So I have to bring on my fellow moms. I have Kalia Moss, Nefertiti Warren, the Nefertiti Warren, and Shannon, the newest mommy of our mommy group, Shannon Nia Alomar Figueroa. So can I have my panel, please? And Osa and Eki. Hi, friends. Hi, friends. Oh, this is going to be a good one because when you bring this mommy panel together, oh, this is the mommy panel. Like, oh, man, I don't even know where to start here. But I have to be conscious of my time because I already got told for time 5 times already today. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to keep on schedule, guys. So I'm here to give y'all questions. Oh, y'all look so beautiful. Oh, sorry. First question. What do you hope your children will learn from the celebration of Juneteenth in terms of history and culture?
I'll go. Hey guys. First of all, you all look so beautiful.
Don't do it, Nephew. Don't do it. Don't start it because you know if we start it, it's never going to end.
You're right. Okay, let me keep it brief. Let me keep it centered. Thanks, guys. You see how we keep it together? It takes a village of mommies. What do I hope? What do I hope my child will learn from Juneteenth? Right.
And you know your child just brought it. So
Listen,
He
and
did.
anybody who know Stanley, who spoke in the children's segment, is Nefertiti's son.
Yes.
So
that is my young king over there. And yeah, everything that he said, even blew me away. And my mom was watching too, and she teared up. So it's just so powerful, the impact that it has when, as everyone has been sharing, especially with TL and everyone, that we have to keep teaching this to our children no matter what. So I hope that he continues learning everything that I didn't know, everything that I still don't know. I have to keep learning myself. When I'm sure as we all, when we were in school together before and they were teaching us about our history, it was just slavery. That's what they taught us. They taught us slavery, and it felt terrible to learn about that. And it got to a point where it's like, I don't even want to hear about this. This is like, that's what it is, So thankfully, because of companies like your queens and these conversations, we are reminded, and it's so necessary to be reminded that our history did not start with slavery. We are indeed the lineage of kings and queens. Like the fact, like my dad loved Egyptian culture and named me Nefertiti, and it means so much more when you really understand that she was a real person, not some made up thing. She actually was a real person before slavery, and that's where you come from. And so I just hope that our children continue to learn, and we do our part to continue to teach them the truth. Because as TL said as well, we can't let anything be omitted. Like they need to know, we need to know. And yes.
thank you, Neff. I appreciate you. That word omit is staying with me today. I'm going to have some closing remarks on that one, but we're going to stick to time and we're going to move on to the second question. And the second question is, what are some challenges that Black children still, oh my God, this one just about to make me tear up. Sorry. What are some challenges that Black children still face today? And how can we work towards greater equality and justice for them? Shannon, I think you have this question.
Yeah, so first and foremost, it is just so great to be with you all today. And this is a really heavy question. Because unfortunately our Black children, are still going through a lot. There's a lot that they are still being blocked from. There's a lot that they still have to fight for. There's a lot that us in our generation are fighting for so that they can have a smoother life. And going through things. And it's just sad to me to even earlier when our children were speaking to hear them say racism is still very real and we're still going through things and we don't fully feel free. And it breaks my heart for us to hear that coming from another generation. Although we know it's the reality of the situation, it just it reminds you that there's so much more work to be done. And I think for me, one of the biggest challenges that I see for Black children out of a lot that is going on is this constant adultification of our children. I This is something that I'm really passionate about, and letting our kids be kids. You know, as a mom now, especially, and as an educator and teaching babies, um, it's just so important for our kids to be able to enjoy their childhood. I get so frustrated when our children do things and they're like, well, she grown and she should know that. She's not grown. She's a baby. She's 12. She's 13, 14, 15. All of those ages, they are still children, and they still deserve to be able to have their childhood not stripped away from them. And that's something that over the years we have seen historically with Black children. And another thing is them just being blocked from certain opportunities. It's sad to think when our children walk into spaces that if they are the only Black child, that they're still dealing with things that our ancestors and forefathers dealt with. It's just so frustrating and ridiculous to me. But I think one of the things that we have to do, of course, as everyone has been saying so far, we have to teach our children their history. We have to make sure they're knowledgeable. We have to let them know that they don't have to be a representation of the barriers that people are putting on them, that they can bust through it. We're living examples of that. It's not always easy. It's definitely it doesn't always feel good. It definitely hurts sometimes to know that we're still living in this type of society and mindset, but we know that we can overcome it. We've seen it time and time again. And I think that's one of the biggest solutions that we can have for them, just teaching them, building them up, letting them know that it is okay to be a child, letting them know that they can have fun. They don't have to grow up too quick. And I know that a lot of times our children experience things that other cultures may not, and that is also just a reality of our lives. But I think that we have to play into letting our children be children, and I think we also need to tap into our childlike natures. I remember one time for Your Queens, we talked about what we bring to our organization, and the thing that I said was my childlike spirit. And even as a mom now, I'm like, I'm someone's mom, I'm still a child. But I think it's important for us to tap into that as well, because when our children see us operating in that space, it lets them know that it's okay for them too to operate in that space, and us to work on healing our inner children so that our children can also heal in that space as well. But our kids are going to be okay. They are so smart and intelligent. They are strong beyond measure. They uplift us each and every day. And as an educator, I get to see that. And now I'm hoping to raise my daughter to be in that same strength and light, so that our next generation can just keep powering through.
Thanks, Shan Shan. I just want to reiterate that everything that we're talking about, children are not born knowing this. This is everything that they learn from society. So I just want to make sure that we all know this, that this is culture. This is the environment that we live in that teaches children about race and colorism and stigmatism and so on and so forth. That's learned. That's taught behaviors and learned behaviors. It's not how they come out the womb. So I just want to reiterate that all of this that we're facing and these Black children are facing today is that. Question number 3, right, is how can we support and uplift Black children and their families during Juneteenth? But even more so, how can we support these Black families throughout the year outside of Juneteenth? I think we have Osa and Kalia on that question.
Yeah, I'll just answer really quickly, and I'll pass it on to you, Kalia. But before I'll go into that. But it was something that came up when you just mentioned that about how children, they don't know these things, right? And it's our responsibility to teach them. And I remember as a child, my parents instilling in us pride about Black history, learning about people that came before us. Black is beautiful, right? And I remember in middle school when we had moved here from Nigeria. My father's from Nigeria, my mother's from the Dominican Republic. I was born here, but I was raised in Lagos, Nigeria for the early part of my life, and then came to the US, living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. And I remember one time someone made a comment about my skin color, right? And right away, I was like, Black is beautiful, you know? And that came because my parents had been teaching me about that. Black is, you know, the slogans that were happening around those times in the 80s and the 90s, you know, learning about Maya Angelou, you know, learning about Harriet Tubman. All those things instilled pride in me, to the point where when somebody said something to me, I was able to quickly use a word to empower myself. So I say all that to say, I think it's important for us as parents, as a community, to teach children about history, participate in activities, expose them to activities, making sure that when you pick schools for your children, that those schools understand the importance of history, they understand the importance of Juneteenth, the importance of Black history. They are doing things that are continuing to empower the children. If your schools don't have it, then introduce it to them, offer it to them. You know, also make sure that outside of the schools that you're teaching your children as well too, and that you're introducing them to things that are happening within the community. I'll pass it on to you, Kalia.
Yes, thank you. Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Hey, Queen Mothers, as Eki has been putting in the chat, the Queen Mothers.
Yeah.
Just I know we gotta, you know, stick on time, but just to piggyback on what Osa and everyone said, we have to be involved in our community. I'm an educator as well. I have my own company, so I go into the schools and I teach children how to eat healthy, live healthy, and you learn so much by being with our kids. Get involved. I'm a parent leader as well. I love being with our children, and I think that if we had more, if our children saw more of us, you know, and showing up and supporting them. Really quick, Zaire, one of our princes, performed his hit song with his group yesterday, and the community came out, and it was so right. It was so beautiful. It was such a beautiful moment to see our community together.
Kalia, did he get sturdy?
Huh?
Did he get sturdy?
Yes, they were getting sturdy.
Oh, I missed it.
I'm gonna send y'all the video. They look so good. But we need to be involved in our communities. We're all mothers, right? When I went to my son's elementary school back in 2016, he started elementary school. I noticed that there was nothing for Black History. There was no Black History Month. There was no Juneteenth celebrations. It was nothing. I know Juneteenth is newly a holiday, but there was no even conversation about it. And what did I do? I got involved. I became the PTA vice president. I got close with the administration. I brought in your queens to come in, right? So that is what we need to do to uplift our family, to continue. You know, our legacy is beautiful and it's powerful, and just how we carry ourselves, right? When we carry ourselves and hold ourselves to a certain, you know, esteem, people see that. They may not say anything, but they feel it because our energy is beautiful and it's powerful. So we walk in a room proud of being who we are, you know, just like the poem says, you know, when we shine our light, we give other people permission to shine. So when we teach our children, we show our children, and we show up as what we want them to be. It's just gonna trickle. It's gonna trickle down. So I don't want to go on too much because I know we got to stay on task. Like our educators say, stay on task.
Stay on task. Stay on task. It's time. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, beautiful ladies. Thank you, Nefertiti. I know you had a little bit of issues with your Chrome connection, but thank you so much for your words. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Kalia. Thank you, Osa, again. I love you all, beautiful queen mothers, as we put in the chat. See you guys in the next set. Oh, Neffy! Thank you. I love you all, queen mothers, and we'll see you very soon. And thank you guys for your perspective on Juneteenth. Bye now. Next segment we have up, as I'm going to bring up my next. Oh God, this is going to be a good one. This one is gonna. They don't even need an introduction. Okay, so this is going to be Ikiwa Asamota, creative director of Your Queens Incorporated, and again bringing up the founder of Glow Girl Wellness, Mrs. Kalia Moss, who we just had up in our parents' perspective. And hello, ladies.
Hello.
Oh God, this is gonna be a good one.
Hi,
Osa.
Hey, Osa. We just love having Osa on.
I know. I know this is it. So it's all right. So you guys about to give us some. You guys are give us some good word on freedom. I think the word today is freedom. This what we're talking about. Oh, so I'm just gonna pass it to y'all. Y'all don't need no introduction. Y'all got this. I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy it, but what's about to happen. So let me get into my trance.
All right. Can y'all hear me? I'm okay. You ready, sis?
Yes, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Good. Oh my gosh. Hi, y'all. First of all, I'm just learning, just sitting back and just listening to questions, the answers, the energy, the inspiration, the power, the unity. Thank you all. And just our family and friends tuning in. This is amazing. Kalia, I want to have you start. Introduce yourself and let's get it going.
All right. My name is Kalia Moss. If you follow Eki and I on social media and you go on our Friday Night Lives, I'm one as K Moss. And I am the owner and creator of two amazing companies. My first business, my baby, Glow Girl Wellness. And my mission with creating Glow Girl Wellness was to give women a platform to embrace who they are, no matter what shape, no matter what size, and to teach them how to live and love themselves. And Healthy Kids NYC that I shared earlier is my baby. I love my kids. And with Healthy Kids NYC, I've been had the honor to go into our New York City public schools and to teach our kids how to eat healthy, live healthy. Because at Healthy Kids NYC, we believe that healthy bodies create healthy minds.
Amazing. Woo! So y'all, we are here because Kalia and I have been going live on our Instagram page for a year and a half. And the purpose, we started that journey. It was a healing journey for us, especially around the pandemic, coming to us. Even though there's still stuff going on towards the end of the pandemic. And it was our way to talk about one word. So whether it was joy, love, sadness, depression, pain, faith, success, and we would just have conversations with each other live on our Instagram page. So every Friday you can catch us. Every Friday we do different times because our schedule is
life
and it's been amazing. It's been life-changing, transformative, and we bringing it on here for Juneteenth. And I'm the creative director of Your Queens, and just honored to be a child of God to be able to do this great work here with you all. I have a beautiful team, family, friends. I love y'all. Let's get started on the first question.
Let's get going. Give it to me.
What does freedom mean to you, especially now as a Black woman?
You already know. We're so in sync.
Yes.
That was my question. That's why I was like, go ahead.
Yeah, let's do it. And y'all can answer in the comments as well. Even as a Black man, as a young king, young queen, right. What does freedom mean to you now? Think outside the box. Let us know. Right. Let us know in the comments.
Well, of course, I was prepared, so I have the definition, right, of freedom, right, which means the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without restraint. And for me, as a Black woman, being able to move and to do and to be, like, freedom to me is just to be. Can I just be who I am, the way God made me to be, without judgment, without, I just want to be. I want to be able to move how I want to move, and I understand why in society we have laws and rules because, everyone doesn't just want to be, right? There are people that want to be in control. There are people that want to be in power. And I understand we need to have laws and things like that. But for me as a Black woman, I just want to be able to create. I want to be able to change lives. And I want to be able to be free to do that. We live in such a world. It's just, I know we are so far ahead of where our ancestors were. But there's so much in me that I don't feel free, at times. And I don't feel like I can, in this world, I do my best to be my authentic self, but it's challenging to be your true authentic self in a world that is so superficial.
I love that. I love you're always keeping it so real, so honest. Yeah.
I just want to be able to do me, because in me doing that, my son sees it. So me being a Black woman and me being able to forge my own path. That's it. I want to forge my own path. Right? I don't want to be in anybody's lane. You know, let me be in my own lane by myself. I'm not trying to compete with anybody. You know, I just want to forge my own path because I know my son is following me, and my son is one day going to be a father, right? And I'm going to have grandchildren. And I want my grandchildren to be like, yo, grandma, you did that, grandma, you know? So that's what freedom means to me, is being able to forge my own path. Being able to forge my own path.
I love it. And you are doing it.
Thank you.
You're walking in it. It's already, those seeds you just said for your future grandchildren, it's already planted and they're going to soar because you're setting the path already for them.
Thank you, my sister.
Absolutely.
So you already know that was my question for you too. So
let's go. I have some notes. Yeah. I thought about that question because it's like, okay, what is freedom? It can be simple as freedom for me is dance. You guys know my background is in performing arts. I'm a dancer. I love freedom for me is healing in that space. So when I think of freedom, I think of healing from historical and ongoing traumas and prioritizing well-being. And that well-being for me is meditating, praying, having conversations like this, going for walks, being by ocean. That is freedom, having them, because we stand on the shoulders, Mickey said it earlier, of our ancestors who went through so much. Quick story, it just popped in my head. When I went to Ghana in 2018, I remember going to the slave dungeons and being there. I grew up in Africa. My sister Osa, shout out to Osa, she shared earlier. And I remember going to the slave dungeons in Nigeria. One of the queens remembered this. When I came back, I gave them waist beads. But I went inside each room of where our ancestors were kept captive, men sheltered area, the woman area. And I felt stoic. I felt very strong, liberated. I was full with emotion, but I felt strong because I knew who I was, and I knew that we stand on our shoulders. Our ancestors went through so much for us to have this moment right now. And I bought some waist beads for my queens, and I rubbed the waist beads on the wall while praying. I said, I have to do something here. I have to. So I still wear those waist beads now, and it was for us to continue this legacy and always knowing who our ancestors are. Enslaved, as well as kings before that, kings and queens. And as we share, continues, Mickey said it too, sharing the stories. Sharing the stories of Queen Amina, sharing the stories of Nanaya Asantua, sharing the stories of King Tut, sharing all these amazing Queen Cleopatra. We can go on that. We have to know these stories in order to empower ourselves to keep our mind free. I also think about being, like you said, being authentic, being able to have big hair and glasses and lipstick and all, and adorn yourself and feeling a way to express yourself, because that becomes stronger. And why then other people who are following behind us are able to see that, wow, I don't have to stay this way. I can embrace myself. I can be bold and also soft and kind and sweet, but you're learning to evolve and learning more and more who you are. And lastly, I think about just loving my culture. I lived in Africa for so many years. And I'm so happy that I was part of a rites of passage program when I was a young girl, and not knowing years later that it would bring this opportunity, right, for 8 years later to celebrate your queens. So it's freedom to me is all of that: dance, healing, ancestors, king, royalty. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned healing, because I've been on a healing journey, and that has been freeing. So I love that you shared that. And the things that I have done on my healing journey are all of the things that you shared: prayer, and I've become closer with God, meditation, taking care of my body, So I love that you shared that, sis. Thank you for a different perspective on what freedom means.
Hit me. What you got? What you got for me?
What I got. Hold on. Okay.
Oh, I love what Kalia said. She said, freedom, Rashina said, freedom means I am open to be the person I am. No judgment, no limits, no one trying to change or modify who I am.
Yes, I love that.
Thank you, Rashina.
All right, because I know we're doing 2 questions each, right? So I'm like, I'm looking, I got 3. We always got to have
yes.
We always have the double questions. So I was like, let me just be prepared. Can absolute freedom exist in our society?
Wow. Mentally, yes.
Yeah.
Mind, body. I think mind, body, spirit. Mentally, absolutely. Because you can be in a situation. A lot of times, people tell me I'm very calm during chaos. So
You
even
are?
though I gotta assess everything. I gotta be really calm. And so yeah, mentally, absolutely. You can be free in your mind completely. Something can be going around because you know why? You gotta be optimistic. You can shift the energy. We talked about words the other day, right? It has power. So if you keep, as a situation is going on, you keep your mind positive and thinking, okay, how do I maneuver to this? How do I, and it can, something tragic going on, something great going on. Life does its thing, but I always also say it does its blessing. You can go through something, but I always remember when you go through something, you're gonna come, I always believe you come out stronger, wiser, clearer, all those things. So I say yes, mentally, you can be free, ultimately, in your
I
mind.
wasn't thinking that way.
Go, tell me your perspective,
Because, you know, I think about our ancestors and how if they would have had a negative mindset of never being free, they wouldn't have fought. They wouldn't have continued to fight. So you're absolutely right, free in the mind. You know, I struggle with the society and the world that we live in, you know, and especially now that we see everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good and it's a bad thing because sometimes I'm like, I'm so tired of seeing another young Black man, it's just, you know, and you and I are very emotional beings.
Yeah.
And so sometimes for me, it's just overwhelming, you know, to see. And I'm like, are we ever going to be free? Are y'all ever going to stop? Are y'all ever going to stop? You know? And I have to remember if my ancestors, you know, yes, being kings and queens, but when I think of the struggle and when I think of our ancestors that were brought here and that had to fight here and had to, you know, to push through, you know, going from slavery and going through Jim Crow. I think about my grandmother who was born in the South in 1934 in Savannah, Georgia, and the things that she saw and the things that she faced. Had she not been mentally strong and been fighting for her freedom to have a home, you know, where would I be? You know, so I struggle with this world. And will we ever be physically free? You know, mentally free, yes, but physically free. When? How much more fighting do we have to do? How many more generations have to, you know, to be a mother and to see my son having to see these things now on social media, you know, having to see George Floyd, you know, taken right in front of our eyes. You know, so it's like when are we physically going to be free?
I'm there with you.
But I love that because that's who you are. You are Eki, and you're seeing things in a positive light. I love that that's how you led with your answer, that mentally we can be free. You know, it's your mindset and how you look at the hard times and how to get through those hard times. So thank you for leading with positivity.
Oh, thank you, Queen, for your share. I feel you. Right. I feel you 100%.
Because I get so angry. I do. I get so angry because I worry about my son. Every single time my child leaves this house, now that he's in middle school and he's taking the bus and he's maneuvering and he wants to go out and hang out with his friends, and I'm cringing on the inside because I want to keep him here because that's the only way that I can protect him. But he wants to be free. You know, like he wants to be able to express himself and move, but I know the world doesn't see him as the beautiful being that I created. You know?
Yeah.
So I worry about, can we truly be free in this society? You know? But yes.
Awesome. Always
I'm
enjoy.
trying not to cry. I gotta hold back.
I know. This is deep. Neffy put in the comment, yes, God gives us a spirit of sound mind. Yes. May your mind be sound. Amidst any storm.
Amen.
Absolutely. Listen, this is always great talking to you. Let's catch us on Fridays on our Instagram page at Eki's Famous and K Moss. And maybe we'll continue because I had some more questions to ask. I want to talk about a free spirit. Free spirit. But we'll share that. I want to go into the next raffle. And right, you like that one?
Yeah.
The next raffle, we're talking about, so use the hashtag Your Queen's Freedom. And I'm doing a remix question because this popped in my mind. We think about the Queen Nana Asantua from early 1900s, from Ghana, warrior queen. She had this amazing symbol called the golden stool. If you can tell us in the comments, what did the golden stool symbolize? That is for the second raffle. Nana Asantua. What did the golden stool, oh, I love that, symbolize? Kalia, I love you. I'll see you in a few.
I love you too, sis. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies. Woo! That was a heavy. Ike was trying to give everybody was trying to give the tea. We had to make sure they tune in on Friday, so we couldn't give them everything. We had to make sure they only get a snippet. This is Juneteenth. That means they get snips of what we could possibly do. They can't get the full. They can't get the full sauce. They get the full sauce. They not going. They not going two back in. We got to get a little snippets. That's why we got segments. You get a little piece of parents. You get a little piece of this. You get a little piece of that. Little piece of this, and that's how we bring it back. So now, next segment. Number 7 is we're going to bring in my dear sister, Sheridan, to give you a poetry performance. This was the young lady who sang our national anthem, and now she's going to come and give you some poetry. Take it away, Sheridan.
Hello, everybody. Again, thank you so much. I wrote this poem during the height of everything happening with like George Floyd and just feeling really overwhelmed and confused and like disillusioned. Shout out to Timmy, one of our queens, who reached out to me during the pandemic and was like, you need to join this writing group. And it sustained me. It kept me here. I'm here because of what she did for me. So I'm just going to get into the poem. It's called Enough. Enough is enough. You are enough. You've given enough. You've done enough. You don't have to keep proving yourself. You don't have to keep pushing. You are already deserving of the love, praise, admiration, and accolade. There's been enough blood, sweat, and tears to last throughout all the coming lifetimes. Your mama and grandma was loyal enough. They sacrificed enough. They smiled to the world while wincing through the pain long enough. Your parents and ancestors worked themselves to the bone, offering up their breath and health and youth and rest and dreams of both day and night, with the hope that one day you would have the chance to become the fullest expression of life. To be bold, brave, authentic, audacious, free. Breathe deep into your belly and take up space, because to do so is an act of resistance. Remember who you are. Remember you are enough. It's easy to forget and get distracted. Bad backs, hips, knees, hearts, minds, and teeth with no recompense, reparations, or restitution given. Yellow paint in the street, added days on the calendar, bended knees, raised fists, and shoulders draped in kente is what they think will suffice. Now that ain't enough. Remember who you are. Remember you are enough. Thank you.
Sheridan. Mama. I don't even know what to say after that, because you got me in here. You got me on the Mary J. Blige. You know, when you put on Mary J. Blige, what's the 411, and the goosebumps really just start coming on, and you didn't even play but 2 seconds of the first word of that's what I just did. All you said was enough, and all the heads was just like ding, and I was just like, dang, Mama. Thank you for that. That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you. I appreciate that poem, and I hope it spread a message to someone in this who's in our audience who's listening right now. Audience, I need you to sit here and I need you to hashtag your queen's freedom. What is going on? I need you guys. Sarita, you are the winner of our, is that our first giveaway? First giveaway, I believe. First giveaway or second one, because we had two. The first giveaway, who was the winner for Eki from the first giveaway? First, second? First one. First. Thank you for in the chat. Sarita, you are the first one. You win the first prize. We'll email you with the first prize winning. The second prize is still up for grabs right now. And then we'll have a final. This is the second one right here. Who's going to be the winner on the second one? Second one. Who's the winner? Oh, who the winner on the second one? Dario Cruz. You are the winner for our second raffle. We will be in contact. First one is a discount code on Your Queen's apparel. So Sarita, we will send you a discount code to order some Your Queen's apparel. And Dario, we will send you, I believe the second one is, I'm checking my notes, 80% off your discount on a Your Queen's booking. Yes. Dario said, "What? That's crazy." I can just imagine that. What? You are so welcome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Now we're moving on to our last segment. Which is we're gonna wrap this up. So I need Osa, Kalia, Eki, closing remarks. I'm bringing back my team. I'm bringing back my ladies. I'm bringing back my ladies. Woo! So I'm gonna let I did a lot of talking. I'm gonna let Osa, you're gonna start it off, and then we just gonna piggyback off with Eki and Kali and see where we end up. We got 15 minutes before we end these people, so let's see where we end up.
All right. So I'm just going to do some final words. I think I did a few key takeaways after TL Cross spoke, but I'm so happy that today we all came together to commemorate the resilience, the strength, and the rich heritage of those that have contributed to this country and to our community. TL Cross spoke about that. He spoke about those who had to literally fight to get their freedom. And when they went and got their freedom, they continued to build within this country. They built HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, where so many people, so many Black people, including myself, have gone on to get their education and do so many wonderful things within their community. I'm so thankful that we had the time to reflect on the past and the significance of this day. I ask that we continue to remember the importance of preserving our history and building our family tree. Juneteenth reminds us of the struggles and the triumphs of our ancestors who fought for freedom and equality. Let's continue to explore our shared heritage. Let's continue to celebrate our journeys, and that this will continue to shape who we are today. Passing it on.
Thanks, Kalia. I'm going to give you the spot.
All right, we're going into our moment of mindfulness, right?
Yes, we are. I got you with the music. Let me know when you're ready.
Yes, I'm excited. So, everyone, you got a snippet of Eki and I when we go live. And we end our lives with a moment of mindfulness. And I'm ready, Eki.
Can you hear it?
No, I don't hear anything.
Oh, it's playing.
Okay. Right. Take this moment to center yourself, to center your thoughts. Wherever you are, if you can just close your eyes for a few moments. as we end in mindfulness and reminding us of our ancestors. And our centering thought is I honor the resilience and strength of my ancestors. I honor the resilience and strength of my ancestors. Just inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And the next time you inhale, I want you to inhale strength. And when you exhale, I want you to exhale freedom. Inhale strength. And exhale and release freedom. Just continue on your own to inhale and exhale. And when you inhale strength, I want you to inhale the strength that for our ancestors to endure the pain, the frustration, to be free. Inhale strength and release freedom. Freedom to be who you are. Continue to inhale strength, remembering our ancestors from our legacy, from being kings and queens, and our ancestors that were enslaved and in bondage. We inhale their strength to endure, to be resilient, to push forward no matter what, never giving up so that we can be free. And when you release the freedom that we can move how we want, do the things we want. Think about our ancestors in those fields, wishing and hoping to be free. We're free to go to the store. We're free to get in our car and drive and go wherever we want. The pain and the suffering that they endured for us to be able to be free. I want to just ask you a few questions. I call them soul questions. Who are you? Who are you? The depths of you, the essence of you. You are our ancestors, is who you are. And what do you want? What do you want in this life? Be clear. Be so clear that you can see your future with your eyes closed. And what is your purpose? What is your purpose here? We're here for a short time. So it's so important to know why you're here. But in order to know your purpose, you need to know who you are. You need to know what you want. As we end, I want you to be reminded of your strength and how powerful you are. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes. And I hope that this moment of mindfulness brought you peace. And remember to honor our ancestors.
Amen. Ashe.
Oh, Kalia.
Kalia. That was really good.
I love y'all. I was trying not to cry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else is backstage from your queens, we can come on. You guys can like highlight them if they're still on, or if you guys can hear me.
I think we got a few minutes. We could thank a couple people if you don't mind, Eki. I mean,
say it again.
We could thank a couple of people.
That's what I'm about to do.
Oh yeah, I literally was going to do it.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not gonna close out. I just want to say thank you to you, Angie, for being an amazing host. I appreciate you. I love you. My sister Osa, you already know, holding us down. Kalia Moss, thank you to Nessa Titi, Shannon, Rashina, Saradin, you are amazing. Thank you to our producer, Brother Logic. Thank you, TL Cross. We appreciate you. Thank you, Aisha. Come on, you came and dropped. You are ready. Like, here we go. You needed a whole segment to yourself. We'll give you a whole segment. This was everything. My heart is full. I feel inspired and blessed to continue with you all. It was wonderful. Before I close out, we do have one more raffle. One more raffle. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, shout out to Darius for the winner. And I have on the third raffle. It's going to be a bracelet it's a bracelet straight from Ghana. So giving you, okay, there you go. And it says melanin on one side and then queen on the other side. I'm modeling this bracelet. Beautiful. Third raffle. And the question for this one will be, what year was your queen founded? Let us know. Use the hashtag Your Queen's Freedom. What year was your queen founded? Yes, yes. Now I'm going to pass it over to Angie if you want to share anything, and then we'll close out an affirmation. Love you all.
Oh, my bestie won! she outside the street. She outside the street right now, so I'll let her know she won.
Hey, Nessie.
Definitely want to close it out. I just want to say thank you to you for just giving me the opportunity to host another Juneteenth celebration. I think it was I know that it was well needed, but also just the fact of the matter being that to have a conversation with your queens is always a blessing. I remember when we started Behind the Crown, and it was just an idea, and the fact that we're talking about 2 or 3 years later and it's still a topic of conversation. I think it's bringing joy to my heart that we're still here and we still have opportunity, and I would love to see how this continues on in the future for us. I think when we get together and we have these large conversation topics, especially with this group of women, it can go on and go on and go on, and it just stems in different lights. What opened up my eyes today were the children. Stanley really made a vocal point today, and I wasn't not to say I didn't know that, but I wasn't thinking that an 8-year-old or 9-year-old would be so vocal about knowing what racism is at this level of that. I was thinking maybe 14 or 15, but for it to be hitting him at such a level is really frightening, that we really need to do something about it. So yes, today we're celebrating Juneteenth, but I feel like we need to do more. So celebrating is one step, but we need to be honoring and fighting more than what we're doing today. So I feel like that's a topic of conversation moving forward.
Our youth, thank you to our young prince and princesses, our young kings and queens. That segment was so important and y'all came through heavy. Thank you to our parents.
Absolutely.
For instilling greatness in them. Let's get everybody on the screen.
If we can.
Let's get everyone on the screen who's there could join us in a closeout. I want to join in a traditional affirmation.
Oh, wait, but before we close out, baby, we got to do the infamous stuff. Okay, it starts with, you got to follow us on Your Queens Incorporated at Your Queens INC, at Facebook at Your Queens INC. Our 8th annual anniversary is coming up, celebration on August 19th. That's right, August 19th. That means before you go back to school, and in the East Coast, because some people are back in school in the West in the Southern Coast. So the East Coast, you're not in school, you're still on summer break, so you have no reason to not to come. So therefore, August 19th, and then catch us and our performances throughout the summer. Hopefully, you see us at some parades this summer. But again, we're here. We're here for you. We're here for the community. And catch us on Your Queens Incorporated.
Eki, do you also want to maybe shout out the board members of Your Queens? We have so many wonderful people behind the scenes.
Go for it, Queen. Go for it.
Yes. Oh, no. You do it.
We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Queen Mother Mercedes Asamota, our advisors, Angie and Rashina. T.O. Cross, I love and appreciate you. Shout out to Charles Robertson, real estate developer here in North Carolina. Shout out to Miss Chester Jean, educator, Marilyn Joseph, Barbara Hernandez. Am I missing anyone? We have a beautiful beautiful team. I said Rashina Thomas, educator as well, and we love you. Continue. You're going to learn more about yourqueens.com. We are a team. We are growing. We are building of mothers, teachers, nurses. Oh, can we give a shout out to Lalisha Stevens? She just gave birth to her baby this week. We are so let's send her some love and light. What else? Am I missing anything else?
Oh, we got birthdays coming up next week. It's
Cancer season.
Yes.
Let's put everyone on the screen. No, we don't.
No, we're spotlighting you. We're spotlighting you.
We're good.
Oh, Shannon. It starts with Shannon first. So.
Shannon on the 20th, and then you, Angie, and then me.
Yes.
So we have
happy early birthday.
Kalia Moss coming in. Shout out to Kansas Sister.
And then we got Kalia. So the quadruple threat. So in Syrian season, they talk about we emotional. We not emotional. We passionate.
Very passionate and creative.
Yes.
We're the mothers of the earth. Come on, y'all. Let's do this together. Bring it from the top of the crown and bring it down into a namaste. Repeat after me. I am love.
I am love.
I am peace.
I am peace.
I am peace.
I am joy.
I am joy.
I am joy.
I am calm.
I am calm.
I am free.
I am free.
I am determined.
I am determined.
I am fearless.
I am fearless.
I am faithful.
I am faithful.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I am so beautiful. I am so handsome for our kings that are on here. And I am greatness.
I am
greatness. Greatness is me. And I will always follow my dreams through it all. Because I'm a queen, put that crown on your head. Let's go. For our kings, I'm a king, and I love myself. Hug a little tighter. I really love myself. One more time. I really, really love myself. And I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Logic.
Thank you, Logic.
Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Yes. Happy Juneteenth. Go support a Juneteenth event out there if you can.
And go support a Black-owned business.
Yes, your queens are performing on Monday. Yes.
Your Queens is performing on Monday with the Black Network in Queens, LIRR station. Neffy is going to be on there hosting. Rashina is performing. And one of our queens, Jay, is performing at 6 p.m.
Yes, see you guys there
in
Queens. Your Queens.
Boom.
Bye.
Are you looking for a new way to celebrate your birthday? Have your Black History Month celebrations been missing the mark? Want to add a royal touch to your next event? Then you need Your Queens, the first registered African royalty character company depicting the stories of non-fictional African kings and queens. Whether you are planning an intimate gathering or filling up a stadium, Your Queens will evaluate, educate, and express the dynamic lineage of real African men and women through storytelling. Are you looking for a new way to celebrate your birthday? Have your Black History Month celebrations been missing the mark? Want to add a royal touch to your next event? Then you need Your Queens, the first registered African royalty character company depicting the stories of non-fictional African kings and queens. Whether you are planning an intimate gathering or filling up a stadium, Your Queens will evaluate, educate, and express the dynamic lineage of real African men and women through storytelling, song, and dance. You'll have the opportunity to meet dynamic royals such as Queen Cleopatra, Makeda, Queen of Sheba, Queen Nefertiti, Queen Amina, Queen Nzinga, and Queen Nanaya Asantua. Let Your Queens take your next in-person or virtual occasion to the next level. For more information, visit our website at www.yourqueens.com.